Ladies and gentlemen, before we begin, I would like to remind everyone, if you are finished eating, please put on your face mask. It is my privilege to introduce the 60th Superintendent of the United States Military Academy, Lieutenant General Darrell A. Williams.
All righty, what's going on, Corps? Thank you, Riley. Ambassador Crocker, distinguished guests, teammates, alumni, ladies and gentlemen, both here in Washington Hall, and welcome to the United States Military Academy at West Point. Things may look a little different this year out of respect for the coronavirus, but nonetheless, our mission here to develop leaders of character for the Army continues, thanks to the great work of our teammates throughout the West Point enterprise, including the West Point Association of Graduates and our alumni. So let me take a moment to express my thanks for their great support and patience during these challenging times. And as we continue with our leader development mission, we're also fortunate to continue many of the events and traditions that are distinctively West Point, including today's ceremony. So we're honored to welcome this phenomenal leader and career public servant to West Point and this year's Sylvanus Thayer Award recipient, and recognize him for his accomplishments, character, and commitment to service. There are a few special guests with us that I'd like to take a moment to recognize. Our guest of honor, Ambassador Ryan Crocker. His partner, Ms. Terry Landa, and her son, Mr. Max von Marbod. From the West Point Association of Graduates, Chairman of the Board of our Directors, Lieutenant General Retired Joe DeFrancisco, class of 1965. Mr. Todd Brown, class of 1985, President and CEO of the West Point AOG. And Mr. Terrence Sinkfeld, Vice President for Alumni Support. In our lifetimes, most of us will be fortunate enough to be a witness to history and perhaps even to affect history in some way. But there are few who've been on the front lines of history or have had such a profound impact on history than Ambassador Ryan Clark Crocker. Ambassador Crocker has had an extraordinary career in the U.S. Foreign Service, spanning 4 decades and 8 presidential administrations. Once called America's Lawrence of Arabia by former President and fellow Thayer Award recipient George W. Bush, Ambassador Crocker has served in nearly every corner of the Middle East. He began his career with the Foreign Service right after college with early assignments in Iran and Qatar, and ultimately served as ambassador to 6 countries in the region: Lebanon, Kuwait, Syria, Pakistan, Iraq, and most recently, Afghanistan. An assignment for which he was called out of retirement to serve. His storied career is a masterclass in Middle East affairs and public diplomacy, with perhaps some subtle overtones of a Tom Clancy action novel. He was there when Saddam Hussein rose to power in the late 70s, and then he led reconstruction efforts in Iraq after his fall. He went from herding sheep in the deserts of Jordan as part of his early language training to shepherding the historic agreements for long-term cooperation between the U.S. and Iraq, and later the U.S. and Afghanistan. He survived the embassy terrorist attack in Beirut in 1983, but years later reopened our embassy in Kabul after being closed for more than a decade. He helped organize and took part in the first direct peace negotiations between Israel and Syria, and helped rebuild the Kuwaiti government in the aftermath of the Iraqi invasion some years later. He worked tirelessly to build a worldwide coalition to combat terrorism post 9/11, while working hand in glove with our military commanders in Iraq and Afghanistan to ensure security and stability in those regions while improving quality of life for its citizens. Marine Corps General John Allen, who commanded U.S. and NATO forces in Afghanistan, called him America's premier wartime diplomat, adding that every American in the Afghan theater was inspired by Ambassador Crocker's unparalleled diplomacy, his uncompromising integrity, and selfless dedication to service. And for those of us who have served or led Iraq and Afghanistan over the last 10 or 15 years, we've seen firsthand the imprint Ambassador Crocker's diplomacy and leadership has had on the region. His exploits and accomplishments are too many to mention, but equal only by his awards and accolades, to include being named an honorary Marine, honorary doctorates from 5 colleges and universities, the diplomatic rank of career ambassador, the Foreign Service's equivalent of a 4-star general, and our nation's highest civilian award, the Presidential Medal of Freedom. President John F. Kennedy once challenged a generation to ask not what the country could do for them, but what they could do for their country. Without a doubt, Ambassador Ryan Crocker exemplifies those words put into action, dedicating his life and career to selfless service and diplomacy. He has lived and led honorably and with a relentless commitment to excellence, and our nation, and indeed the world, are better places because of the leadership and service, his leadership and service. Sir, it is a privilege to honor you this evening with this award as a leader of character and exemplar of the West Point's ideals of duty, honor, and country. On behalf of the Academy staff and faculty and the Corps of Cadets, thank you for your service, your leadership, and example, and we are proud to honor you and your achievements this evening. It is now my pleasure to introduce the chairman of the Board of Directors for the West Point Association of Graduates, Lieutenant General Retired Joe DeFrancisco, class of 1965.
Thank you, General Williams, and good evening to everyone. General Williams, on behalf of the Association of Graduates, I thank you, the staff and faculty of the United States Military Academy, and the Corps of Cadets for hosting this presentation of the Sylvanus Thayer Award. To the Corps of Cadets, congratulations and thank you for the splendid review this afternoon. Your consistent excellence makes us all very proud. Today marks the 63rd annual presentation of the highest honor West Point and the Association of Graduates can bestow upon an American citizen who did not graduate from the military academy. The concept of the Thayer Award was developed by the West Point class of 1931 as they prepared for their 25th reunion. The Academy and the Association agreed that such an award would contribute to improving the public's understanding of West Point and the principles upon which it is built. From the very beginning, The purpose of the Thayer Award has been to recognize an American citizen of outstanding character and accomplishments whose stature in the civilian community draws wholesome comparison to the qualities for which West Point strives. Ambassador Crocker is a perfect example of this ideal. His leadership, love of country, and untiring efforts to make our nation better and stronger are lessons all Americans can admire. Having Ambassador Crocker's name on the Thayer Award plaque and displaying his portrait in the Thayer Award room of Taylor Hall forever demonstrates to the public the principles upon which West Point is built: duty, honor, country. In receiving the Thayer Award, Ambassador Crocker joins a diverse array of prominent Americans. The list of previous awardees is truly impressive. Their names, engraved on a plaque at the entrance to Washington Hall, include renowned scientists, astronauts, esteemed members of the clergy, members of Congress, and other recipients include Supreme Court justices, members of the President's cabinet, and renowned journalists. There are also the names of 4 former presidents of the United States. Among the attributes shared by all is an unshakable commitment to the advancement of our country and the well-being of the world around us. Ambassador Crocker, I can say without hesitation that your name on West Point's Thayer Award plaque greatly enhances the prestige of our alma mater. The Association of Graduates is honored to participate in these ceremonies, recognizing your life of service to America. It is my privilege to represent the long gray line in presenting the 2020 Sylvanus Thayer Award to a true American patriot. Ambassador Crocker, I invite you and General Williams to please come forward and join me in front of the dais.
Well, General Williams, General DeFrancisco, words fail me, and that is not something a career diplomat often says. The honor that you have bestowed on me is well beyond my merits. I accept it with enormous gratitude, and to those who nominated me and to the Association of Graduates that selected me, all I can say is you have only yourselves to blame. So every time I come to the Academy, I learn something. I've learned a lot of things on this trip. One of them is that it coincides with a very important West Point tradition. I am told that tomorrow is ring poop, right? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And that is followed by ring weekend. So in keeping with the reputation of this Academy for scholarship and dedication, I just would like to say to all of the firsties out there that will be hoping to get their rings, there is going to be an examination after my remarks. And as long as you are able to fully capture the essence of what I have said, you'll be cleared to go ahead and get your ring. So take lots of notes and don't leave too early. General Williams and General DeFrancisco spoke about the previous recipients of this incredibly prestigious award. And indeed, that is very much the case. What I would want to say, though, is I'm especially honored to be following directly as a Thayer recipient General Dunwoody as the first woman to achieve 4-star rank in the Army. Back in 1995, Hillary Clinton made a comment in Beijing that entered history, that women's rights are human rights. Scholarship and experience since then have shown us that women's security globally is also national security. For us in America to continue the greatness we have achieved in the past, we have to do more. And most particularly, in my view, we have to do more for gender equality. We are not yet at the point where we have full gender equality in this country. I know that comes as a real shock to the female cadets here, but it is the case. I am very privileged to have served under 3 female secretaries of state, 2 of whom also received this award, Madeleine Albright, Condi Rice, and Hillary Clinton. I served all 3 of them as ambassadors, as an ambassador, and I can tell you, I never had better bosses. The Academy is leading the way on this, as they've led on so many other issues of social significance in our country. And I'm, again, wanted to pay particular note to the significance of that. We in the Foreign Service are actually a little bit ahead on this. The first woman in the service to receive the title of Career Ambassador, 4-star rank, was in 1962. And the Foreign Service is now almost 42% female. So we've made great advances. We still have some distance to go. So a number of diplomats have received this award, but only one other Foreign Service officer. That was Robert Murphy in 1974. Ambassador Murphy did a lot of things in a storied career, the most significant of which was as advisor to General Eisenhower. He worked with the French military in North Africa to bring them back into the war. They had about 120,000 troops in North Africa, left over from colonial days, and they had not been required to surrender when the Nazis took Paris. He managed to do that under very challenging circumstances. That became a key element of the success of Operation Torch in 1942, the landing in Morocco. That was our first major offensive push in the war. Had that gone bad, had the French pulled out of the agreement, the war could have had very different consequences. So I salute my colleague of a time long ago now, and those he served, particularly Generals Eisenhower and Bradley. That was duty, honor, country. So what is the Foreign Service exactly? And this will be on the quiz. We're small, a little under 10,000 Foreign Service officer generalists, diplomats globally. We are highly expeditionary. That is why they call it the Foreign Service. 75 to 80% deployed any day of the year. We are nonpartisan, as you are. In my own case, serving 6 times as ambassadors, 3 times for Republican administrations, 3 times for Democratic administrations. Like your service, it is inherently dangerous. In those 6 countries, 3 of my predecessors were killed in the line of duty. We have the same rank structure for officers as you do, and we swear the same oath to support and defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic. We are tightly tied to the United States military. After 9/11, I was Deputy Assistant Secretary for the region. I was full-time negotiating refueling, overflight, and basing arrangements with the Arab countries that would be critical for us to mount our push into Afghanistan. But my connection to the military and to war, if you will, started long before that, 20 years before that in Lebanon. There in my 3 years as political counselor, that saw the bombing of the American embassy in April 18, 1983. The worst loss of diplomatic life in American history. I was there 6 months later, bombing of the Marine barracks. Over 240 Marines killed in that blast. The face of war had changed, and we were there in the middle of it. Duty, honor, country. In Kuwait, as ambassador, I learned something else. Some of our greatest victories were in wars that we did not have to fight. General DeFrancisco and I were comparing notes earlier, as had the superintendent and I before, trying to figure out exactly which pestilential hellhole we had first met. For the superintendent, it was Tikrit. All of Iraq was tough. Tikrit was the toughest, which is why you were there. And with General DeFrancisco, 1994 Operation Vigilant Warrior, he commanded the 24th Infantry Division. That was part of the force we sent in to prevent a reinvasion of Kuwait by Iraq. And I got to tell you, General DeFrancisco, I'm hugely grateful for the Thayer Award, but I'm coming after your Vigilant Warrior coffee cup. It may be the only one left in existence. What else I learned in Kuwait with that emergency, again, Saddam had sent a multi-divisional force south to Kuwait, configured for combat, not for training. It was the real deal, we thought. When you need to get forces to the field, like yesterday, sometimes charter aircraft are faster than Millair. And so it was for Vigilant Warrior. I was there to greet the first plane load of troops at Kuwait Airport. They were tankers falling in on a pre-positioned M1 brigade set. and again, a commercial charter, so I was there at the top of the steps, and as each trooper got off the plane, the flight attendants were saying, "Have a nice day." These troopers didn't know if they'd be alive at sunset the next day. That is duty, honor, country. As ambassador to Pakistan, we encountered a different adversary, a major earthquake up in the rugged northern part of the country in October 2005, killing 80,000 people in 2 minutes. As soon as I saw the magnitude of the disaster, given Pakistan's status as a nuclear weapons nation and a crucial part of the war on terror, I knew we had to act. So I called on the most powerful humanitarian organization on earth, the United States Army. And it is about personal connections and relationships. I called General John Abizaid, then Commander Central Command, a superb officer that I had the pleasure of working with over the years, and said, "I need helicopters, and I need them tomorrow." The day after tomorrow, we had 8 CH-47s in country, pulled them out of Afghanistan. We would eventually build up to 24, and Operation Lifeline became the largest and longest humanitarian airborne operation since the Berlin airlift. And those CH-47 pilots did things that had previously been thought impossible in a double rotor helicopter, like up in the foothills of the Himalayas, dropping that ramp so that it was barely touching the flat roof of a mud building to load casualties without, I've got the pictures, just almost vertical slopes on both sides. They could not put any of the weight of the Chinook on the roof, it would collapse. So just getting that precisely right, something new in aviation. They saved thousands of lives. That is duty, honor, country. And after Pakistan, for me, it was Iraq. And there unfolded one of the most significant sets of relationships I've had in my life. General Petraeus and I were both tapped for our respective positions in the fall of 2006, which was pretty much the worst of times for the U.S. and Iraq. General Petraeus has his theories on why he was selected. I know why I was selected. I was inherently expendable. We'll send him out there if it works, great, and if it doesn't work, no great loss, and it opens up a promotion opportunity. What we figured out before either of us ever got there is that if we worked closely together implementing the President's surge strategy, there was no guarantee of success. But there was the absolute certainty of failure if we did not. General Petraeus had the idea, the concept, before we even got there, of putting together a JSAT. And God, it's so great to be here because I can use all these acronyms and I don't have to explain what they mean because you know. But I'll do it anyway. Joint Strategic Assessment Team. The legendary H.R. McMaster was the military co-chair. Ambassador David Pierce, probably our finest Foreign Service Erebus and an expert on Iraq, was the civilian co-chair. And we had that parallel all down the line. The main objective was to assess our predecessors' campaign plans and make recommendations for a new campaign plan, but it was also to signal to the military and to civilians that we're all in this together. Everything we do out here is going to be joint, it's going to be coordinated, it's going to be together. And General Petraeus and I did our level best to personify it. Our meetings with Iraqi officials were almost always together, as were our briefings for American visitors, CODELs. It gave that picture of solidarity. It also prevented mixed messages getting sent or one of us being played off against the other. Didn't work, couldn't do it. We were both in this together, and that reached its epitome in September 2007 when we testified for 21 fun-filled hours over 2 days before Congress. During those 2 days, and hundreds of questions literally were thrown at us, often not directed to specifically either one of us. Never once during that period did we have to look at each other and figure out who should answer the question, nor did we ever start to answer together. We knew who had the lead on a particular question. We went through that whole testimony, again, without having any need to consult with each other, slip notes back and forth, or anything like it. And for me, working with General Petraeus, class of 1974, who heard Ambassador Murphy speak here, it just doesn't get better. It also established the template for me personally that I could then carry on with General Odierno after General Petraeus went back to take command at Central Command, and then also with General Allen in Afghanistan, who I had gotten to know in Iraq because he was the Assistant Division Commander for Multinational Force West, the resident expert on Sunni tribes who I consulted with very regularly. So again, what it tells you is several things. We are in it together. Civ-Mil relations are crucial, and there is no playbook. There wasn't a playbook then, and there is not a playbook now. So it is personality-driven, personality-dependent. I told some of you earlier today that I had tried and failed to figure out, particularly when I was at Princeton University these last few years, how we could institutionalize Civ-Mil relationships at the entry level. And I just couldn't make the template work. I did give that mission to the Soc Department and its fine students. And what I do want to say here, at the risk of making it sound like I'm playing favorites a bit, I'm really not, that your Soc Department is unique in this country. I'm delighted to hear and see that international relations majors have just skyrocketed, and there they are now. And it's a great big messy political military world out there, and my experience over the years shows that the curriculum that Soc has developed is one of our most effective fighting tools. It's again wonderful to see again General Dr. Professor Jeb, who is back now as Dean and who was followed by Michael Meese and now Colonel Suzanne Nielsen. It doesn't get better than this. And this department will stand with any in the country. Here's what Bob Gates recently said, reflecting on his experience. One of the most important lessons of the wars in Iraq and Afghanistan is that military success is not sufficient to win the wars of the future. Those wars are likely to be fundamentally political in nature and will not be solved by military means alone. And that pretty well could be the mission statement for SOC. So for those of you who are not SOC majors, right after you complete the quiz, you'll want to not walk but run over to the SOC department to sign up as a major. But I forget, you already do run to the SOC department. I've seen the videos. Some of you may be already in trouble even before you commission. One way in which the war has changed, I think, for uniformed services, because they are complex, largely political affairs, is the need for reliance on host country nationals, primarily but not exclusively interpreters. We cannot fight our wars with any prospect of success if we cannot translate ourselves to the population. It's absolutely essential. To get these people to risk their lives serving us in Iraq and Afghanistan, we had to make some commitments that we would take care of them. If they served us, we would ensure that they were able to get here to safety afterwards through a special immigrant visa program. I started the program in Iraq in 2007. I revitalized it in Afghanistan in 2011. But there are still problems. Bureaucratic delays, lack of resources, just stringing it out. So I'm very proud to join General Petraeus in another joint mission. We're both on an advisory board for an organization called No One Left Behind, which works intensively with Congress and with others to be sure we live up to our commitment to those who have served us in very, very difficult positions. Finally, this may be the most important thing I have to say to you. Okay, if you'll turn the Klieg lights out, I'll confess to anything you want me to confess to. I'll sign the confession. The superintendent said he would get on this. Shoot out those lights. Wars cost. They cost in treasure and they cost in blood. I've stood at a lot of ramp ceremonies in Iraq and Afghanistan. Everyone hurts. Everyone reminds you that it's not a video game. To advance our interests, to secure our allies, we put lives on the line, and some of those lives are going to be lost. On this other end, up in the inland Northwest, where I'm from, I've had the privilege of being associated with a Gold Star group, Gold Star family group, called Time of Remembrance. And again, it's very gratifying to speak to an audience to whom I do not have to explain what a ramp ceremony is or what a Gold Star family is. They're active all year long. September is kind of our big annual gathering. We couldn't do it this September, but a number of us got together in Tri-Cities in Eastern Washington State to do some videos and so forth. And I told my friends there that I'd be coming here tonight. It's about 10 days ago. And I asked them what they would want me to say to the future leaders of the U.S. Army. It was pretty brief and pretty relevant. Please don't forget us. These are amazing people. former Defense Secretary Jim Mattis, also from Eastern Washington. We've been friends for a number of years. Both of us working with Time of Remembrance, has called them our better angels. And so they are. They're not looking for closure. They're not looking to move on. That pain they suffered is never going away. But they're also not wallowing in grief. They got big hearts and they got a big tent. They've reached out to families of those service members who have died from other causes, like training accidents or suicides. They've reached back to Vietnam War families. They have given comfort to people like me who have a case of survivor's guilt. They have given more than they have ever gotten. They have also done so much. Support for others brings them support. They are supported in part by the Combat Veterans International, part of the Patriot Guard, and I'd give a shout out to some of the guys there. Pops, Stretch, I told you I'd do it, and I did. They run on a shoestring, but they manage. It is a collective endeavor, but part of that message is we're all in this together. But even collective endeavors require leaders, and ours is a woman named Shirley Schmunk. Her son was lost at Fallujah. He was part of the Washington State Guard. She is creative, compassionate, a ball of energy, abundant good humor. These are great leadership qualities, whether it's here at West Point or over there, pulling Gold Star families together. I've gone through all of that because I very much wanted to remember them to you today, to ensure they are not forgotten. So I remember them to you, and I ask that you remember them as you step into the future. Duty, honor, country.
Ambassador Crocker, thank you for your service to our nation. Please accept this USMA windbreaker as a gift from the Corps of Cadets as a token of our appreciation for your inspiring remarks this evening. We heard you got one from me. Oh, yes, sir, we're gonna go over here.
Go Army!
Ladies and gentlemen, please stand for the singing of the alma mater led by the Cadet Glee Club. Please continue to wear your face mask. At the conclusion of the alma mater, remain standing for the benediction by Chaplain Good.
Let duty be well performed, honor be e'er untorn, country be ever armed, West Point by thee. Guide us thine own aright, teach us by day, by night, to keep thine honor bright, for thee to fight. When we depart from thee, serving on land or sea, may we still loyal be. West Point to thee. And when our work is done, our course on earth is run. May it be said, well done, below at peace. And may that line of gray increase from day to day. Live, serve, and die, we pray. West Point for thee.
So a benediction is a good word. It is a blessing. And Ambassador Crocker, we thank you and want to bless you for celebrating with us and your service. And if I may share the blessing with the Cadet Corps, and especially the class of 2020, tomorrow afternoon, their lives grow immeasurably heavier to bear. And so we want to celebrate that as well. Let us pray. Lord God, we thank you for this celebration. Lord, for this country that we serve. Lord, bless it. Lord, thank you for the duty that Ambassador Crocker has given us as an example now for these men and women to follow. And dear Lord, tonight the honor is all his and the glory is all yours. Lord, bless and keep and use us for your service, I pray. Amen.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for attending the Thayer Award presentation this evening. Guests and members of the Corps, please stand and remain standing at your tables until the official party departs. Thank you all for attending this evening. Corps dismissed.